I learned the difference between loneliness and silence the night I realized I was afraid to be alone with my own thoughts. My name is Svetlana. I'm 33 years old, and I live in New York City. Not the glamorous version people imagine from movies, not rooftop cocktails or late night taxis under neon lights. I live in Brooklyn, in a narrow apartment with thin walls, a radiator that hisses like it's breathing, and windows that never quite keep the city out. Sirens, footsteps, arguments in languages I don't understand. Life pressing in from every direction. I am married. That sentence used to mean something solid. Now it sounds like a habit I never questioned. My husband's name is Igor. He's an engineer, practical, reliable, kind in ways that don't require much attention. He wakes up early, drinks his coffee standing, kisses my cheek like a polite goodbye. At night, he falls asleep before I do. Sometimes with his phone still in his hand, sometimes without saying anything at all. We don't fight. We don't scream. We don't slam doors. We simply stopped touching in ways that mattered. People think that's the easy kind of distance. It isn't. I work as a pharmacist in a small neighborhood drugstore near Prospect Park, the kind of place where regulars remember your name and tell you about their blood pressure like it's gossip. They tell me I have a calm voice, that my hands look gentle, that I make them feel safe. No one asks who makes me feel wanted. After my shifts, I walk home instead of taking the subway. I like pretending the city is quieter than it really is. Like, if I move slowly enough, my thoughts won't catch up with me. That was my life. Predictable, contained, carefully numb. Until Kate moved in. Kate arrived in spring, when the city starts lying to you again. When the air feels lighter and people remember what it's like to want things. She lived in the apartment above mine. Interior designer, works from home, always dressed like she didn't try, yet somehow every detail looked intentional. The first time I saw her was in the stairwell. She was barefoot, balancing a roll of fabric against her hip, laughing softly at something on her phone. She looked up and smiled at me like we already knew each other. Not polite, not curious, recognizing. "Hey," she said, "you must be downstairs." I nodded. "Svetlana." "Kate." Her voice was lower than I expected. Warm, unhurried. That should have been nothing. Instead, something in my chest tightened, just slightly, like my body had noticed her before my mind did. We started with small talk. The weather, the building, the terrible landlord, then coffee, then wine. She had a way of listening that felt dangerous, like she wasn't waiting for her turn to speak, like she was actually absorbing me. One night, sitting on my couch while the city hummed outside, she asked, casually, "Do you ever feel invisible in your own life?" The question landed harder than it should have. I laughed it off. That's a heavy thing to ask over wine. She didn't smile. "I'm serious." I looked at her. Really looked. Her hair was loose, falling over one shoulder. Her knees were pulled up against her chest. She wasn't trying to impress me. She was just there. "Yes," I said quietly. That was the first honest thing I'd said in months. The tension didn't arrive all at once. It seeped in the way her knee brushed mine and neither of us moved away, in the way her gaze lingered half a second too long, in the way I started thinking about what to wear before I knew she was coming over. I told myself it was admiration, curiosity, a harmless spark. I didn't yet have the courage to call it desire. The night everything shifted, Igor was away on a work trip. Kate came over with a bottle of red wine and a look in her eyes I couldn't read. We sat at my kitchen table, the light low and yellow, the city alive outside the windows. She was telling a story about a client who wanted their apartment to feel like confidence when she stopped mid-sentence. She looked at me, really looked. Then she reached across the table and placed her hand over mine. Not dramatic, not urgent, just there. Her fingers were warm, steady. I felt my breath catch before I could stop it. "Is this okay?" she asked softly. That was the moment. The last exit. I could have laughed, pulled my hand back, made a joke. Instead, I turned my palm slightly so our fingers aligned. "Yes," I said. Her thumb brushed the side of my hand. A small gesture, a massive decision. She leaned in slowly, so slowly that every second stretched, so slowly that I had time to notice my heartbeat, the sound of my own breathing, the weight of the room around us. Her lips touched mine like a question. I answered. The kiss was gentle, almost restrained. No urgency, no rush, just warmth, just intention. When we pulled apart, my hands were shaking. "We don't have to go any further," she said. "I don't want to cross a line you'll regret." I looked at her and felt something settle inside me. "I already crossed it," I said honestly. After that, the city felt different. Every interaction with her carried weight. Every silence felt charged. We didn't rush into anything physical. That somehow made it worse. The restraint, the awareness. I'd lie next to my husband at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying the way Kate's hand had felt over mine. Not sexual, intimate. There's a difference. The real breaking point came weeks later, on a rainy night when the city seemed to fold inward. Kate texted me, "Can you come over?" No explanation. I stood in my apartment, coat in my hand, heart racing, knowing that whatever waited on the other side of her door would change everything. I went anyway. Her apartment was dimly lit, the air heavy with quiet. Soft music played somewhere I couldn't place. She stood close enough that I could feel her warmth. "If you stay," she said, voice low, "there's no pretending after." I met her gaze. "I'm tired of pretending," I said. She didn't kiss me right away. Her hands found my waist, firm and grounding, not demanding, assured. Every movement felt deliberate, chosen. We moved together slowly, learning each other's boundaries as we went. Touch became communication. Consent became constant. It wasn't about hunger. It was about recognition. For the first time in years, My body wasn't something to be tolerated or ignored. It was seen. When I finally closed my eyes and let myself lean into her, I felt something break open inside me. Not shame, not guilt, relief. The morning after was quiet. No awkwardness, no regret. Just two people standing by a window watching the city wake up. "What happens now?" she asked. I didn't have an answer. "I can't go back to being asleep," I said. Finally. She nodded. "That's enough for now." The truth came out slowly, first to myself, then to Ybor. I didn't give him details. I didn't need to. I told him I had fallen in love with someone else. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that surprised me. Maybe we stopped choosing each other years ago. We didn't fight. We let go. Kate left New York a month later for a long-term project in another state. No promises, no dramatic goodbyes, just honesty. Now I walk through Brooklyn alone, and for the first time, I'm not afraid of the silence, because it no longer feels empty. It feels open. New York didn't give me answers. It gave me permission to want, to choose, to be awake.